Once upon a time, in a distant kingdom covered by winter's cold, a queen was sewing by a window when she pricked her finger, causing 3 drops of blood to fall onto the white snow. She found the contrast of the red blood on the white snow so beautiful that she wished then for a daughter with skin white as snow, lips red as blood, and hair black as ebony. Shortly after, a child was born with skin white as snow, lips red as blood, and hair black as ebony, and they named her Snow White. But the queen died soon after childbirth. The king remarried, but the new queen, though beautiful, was arrogant, jealous, and vain. The stepmother had a magic mirror to which she always asked,
"Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?"
The mirror always replied,
"My queen, you are the fairest in this kingdom."
However, when Snow White grew up, the queen received a different answer.
"My queen, you are beautiful, it is true, but Snow White is 1,000 times fairer than you."
Filled with rage and envy, the stepmother ordered a hunter to kill Snow White in the forest and bring back her lung and liver as proof. The hunter obeyed and took Snow White deep into the forest, his hunting knife already drawn and ready to strike. But just as he raised the blade, Snow White began to cry and plead for mercy. Feeling compassion, the hunter relented, thinking wild animals would eventually claim her life anyway. He let her go, and shortly afterward, encountering a wild boar, he killed it, removed its lung and liver, and presented them to the queen as proof of Snow White's death. The queen gave the organs to her cook, who prepared a dish with them. Believing she was eating Snow White's lung and liver, the queen consumed them with malicious satisfaction. Terrified, Snow White ran through the darkening forest as night began to fall. She was frightened by the twisted shapes of the trees and the glowing eyes of animals hidden in the shadows. Desperate and exhausted, she kept running until she stumbled upon a small house in the middle of the forest. There were 7 tiny chairs, 7 small plates with food, and 7 little beds lined up side by side. Hungry and tired, Snow White took a small bite from each tiny plate and drank a bit from each cup. Feeling exhausted afterward, she tried each bed until she found one comfortable enough and quickly fell asleep. When the dwarfs returned home after a day's work in the mines, they immediately noticed something was different. Surprised and intrigued, they discovered their plates had been eaten from. Their chairs moved slightly, and finally found Snow White asleep on one of their beds. Astonished by her beauty and puzzled by her sudden presence, they gently woke her, and after hearing her story, warmly welcomed and agreed to protect her. Through the magic mirror, the queen discovered Snow White was still alive and decided to act herself, disguising herself several times to deceive her. First, disguised as an old vendor woman, she offered beautiful corset laces. When Snow White accepted, the queen tightened them so fiercely that the girl fell unconscious, nearly dead. Fortunately, the dwarfs arrived in time and saved her. Once again, the queen asked the mirror,
"Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?"
"My queen, you are fair indeed, but Snow White with the 7 dwarfs is still 1,000 times fairer."
The queen returned to the forest, now offering a poisoned comb. Again, Snow White fell unconscious while combing her hair. Fortunately, the dwarfs arrived shortly after, discovered the comb, and quickly removed it from her hair, causing her to awaken immediately. The mirror repeated,
My queen, Snow White is still fairer, 1,000 times and 1,000,000 more.
Finally, the queen prepared a poisoned apple, half white and half red, meticulously crafted to tempt anyone who saw it. Disguised as a humble farmer's wife, she approached Snow White once more, offering the enticing fruit. Initially hesitant, Snow White was persuaded when the queen cunningly bit into the safe white side, proving its harmlessness. Trusting the old woman's words, Snow White took a bite from the poisoned red half. Immediately, she felt dizzy and her vision blurred, as she collapsed helplessly onto the ground, falling into a deep, death-like sleep. Meanwhile, back at the palace, the queen, satisfied at last, asked the mirror once more,
My queen, you are now the fairest in the land.
The dwarfs, deeply grieving, discovered Snow White's lifeless body. They desperately tried to wake her, but their efforts were in vain. Unable to bury her beneath the ground due to her everlasting beauty and freshness, they gently placed her in a beautiful glass coffin and set it atop the mountain. Each day, one dwarf kept watch over her. Animals also came to pay their respects: a wise owl, a solemn raven, and a gentle dove. Snow White remained in the coffin for a long time, retaining her fresh beauty, black hair, snow-white skin, and blood-red lips. One day, a prince came riding through the forest and saw the glass coffin. Enchanted by her exquisite beauty, he pleaded with the dwarfs to let him take Snow White away, but initially, they refused. The prince earnestly declared he could not live without seeing Snow White every day, vowing to honor and cherish her as his beloved. Moved by his sincere love, the dwarfs relented. As the prince's servants carried the coffin away, one of them stumbled, jostling the coffin, causing the poisoned apple piece to dislodge from Snow White's throat. She opened her eyes, astonished, and slowly sat up, looking around in wonder. The prince, overcome with joy, approached her, saying tenderly, "You are with me now." He recounted all that had happened and confessed his love, asking her to marry him. Snow White happily agreed. Their wedding was magnificent, held in a glorious palace, with Snow White radiantly dressed as a bride. The wicked stepmother was also invited. Before attending, she asked the mirror once again. The mirror responded,
You are the fairest here, my queen, but the young queen is fairer than you, 1,000 times and 1,000,000 more.
Infuriated and disturbed, the queen considered staying away, but, unable to find peace, decided to see the young queen herself. Upon arrival, she recognized Snow White immediately. Before entering the palace, however, she was apprehended and forced to wear red-hot iron shoes, dancing until she fell dead as punishment for her cruelty.
This dark Grimm Brothers tale illustrates how envy and vanity can destroy those who succumb to them, leaving a powerful lesson about the consequences of our feelings and actions.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?